Welcome to the podcast of On the Steering Wheel. Yeah, you heard it right. The first podcast in English. And it's for a special reason. Today I'm speaking with Dr. Joy Martina. And she grew up in England, now has a spiritual center, Das Lichtwerk in Salzburg. And she isn't able to speak in Dutch. Also, beautiful coincidence, or maybe not just a coincidence, because one of my intentions was to transfer my podcast into English. If this will be the definite transfer, I don't know. But what I do know is that I have a very inspiring interview for you with Joy. And we also talk about the festival that will take place at 20 and the 21st of July in Ankeveen, the Full Moon Quantum Festival, where Joy and I will be facilitating. I'm very looking forward to it, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. This is the first podcast in English. I already told my followers that I would do more podcasts in English this year, but still, I have been avoiding it. And now, Joy, thanks to you. I can't escape anymore because my German is really not that well. It's been a while since I talked German, so I think we better do it in English. But I'm very delighted to welcome you in the podcast, Joy Martina.
Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be your very first English interview partner. That's fun.
Yes. Can you tell me a little bit for the listeners how people can recognize you? Where could they know you from? What is it that you do?
Sure. I'm Joy. I was given this name by my parents 50 years ago because they were told that they couldn't have children. So in the first page of my baby album with all the pictures is this letter by the doctor saying, "So sorry, guys, it's not going to happen, right?" And then I came. So my parents were delighted, and I was given this beautiful name. And I live in Salzburg, Austria. I have just actually in last year moved into my brand new home that I called Das Lichtwerk, which is a huge mission of mine, a wonderful dream that I had when I was just 18 years old. So as an 18-year-old, just actually started law as a student. I was sitting one evening with this amazing group of women. They were all, yeah, I'd say 60 and above that. And they were all homeopaths and amazing energy doctors, healers, and they were conspiring of how to bring that kind of work that was still very new and different, right, in this mainstream into the world, and how could they help more people. And I remember sitting there and wondering, why am I here? I'm just 18. Why, right? But I was listening and I started drawing and sketching on a sort of placemat, one of these paper placemats that you have in restaurants. And while they were talking, I just was sketching up this thing. And I came up with this, or it came through me, I would now say, this idea of creating a center, a place where people can meet and connect and recharge. And I had all these colors, it was all rainbow colors and whatever. It was this great, fabulous idea. But then, my life took a different journey. I not only studied law, I studied psychology and communication sciences and a bunch of things, planning to go into media, journalism, that kind of research. And then my whole life changed many, many times, and I learned lots of different things. I ended up having a beauty studio in Salzburg, Austria, here many years back, and started helping people become their better selves, put it that way. But it was still externally focused. So I was specialized on problem skin. And I figured out pretty early on that there was such a connection between what's happening inside and how someone views themselves on the outside, and the connection between how radiant our skin is to how we're feeling inside and all that. And I was always surprised that I'd have all these amazing clients who were all beautiful women, and they were so unhappy. So then I started using all my extra trainings, which I had already started doing when I was 18 years old, from dowsing, finding water, to card reading, to kinesiology, to feng shui, to Chinese medicine. It was just fascinated me, but it was like two worlds. I had the daytime world, which was people beautiful. And then the real passion was helping them from the inside, understanding the mystics of this universe. And then when I turned 30, I met Joy Martina, and we connected, and we had this one big vision together. And things changed again. And now I'm back here in Salzburg, Austria, after 12 years in America, living in Holland, all over the place, back to the roots, coming back to the roots and coming back to this idea of really creating a place where people can come and find refuge. And when I now look at how the situation is globally with depression rates, suicide rates, mental illnesses, sleep deprivation, so many people are having such a hard time getting to sleep at night or having a good night's sleep, I think it's the perfect time. And nowadays I teach children yoga and mindfulness. I work one-on-one with clients who want to go deeper and really figure out what's sabotaging them. And I host little small exclusive retreats here at my home. So I'm really living the dream that I had at 18 years old. And why I'm telling this story is because I know that a lot of people who will be listening have also maybe had the feeling that their life is going in all these different paths, and what now? And I'm just here to tell you that this what now is actually we're facing the conscious creation of a new world. I know this sounds really big out there, but look at how many people are waking up, who are awake, who've been having similar dreams like me of creating these safe places, these healing places for decades. And I think all it needs now is that we connect, that all these, let's call them light workers, all these people who have this real heart's mission to make this world a better place, that we all get together. So I'm so excited that I'm now going to be coming back to Holland again after quite a while, to connect with this amazing group of people around Fabian Emmen, who have made not only their mission, but also to serve others, to help the blind see, to really bring our work into the world in a practical way. And that gives me great joy.
Wonderful. I like what you're telling about you had a vision when you were 18, and still it took quite a while to unfold. It especially resonates with me because I also studied law. Not a coincidence, I guess. I began studying law because I wanted to make the world a better place, a more righteous place. But after 15 years working for the public prosecutor, I thought, no, no. Judging people all the time, meaning to discover what is right and what is wrong, is not what people really need, because everyone knows deep inside when they make a decision whether if it's something driven by love or something driven by anxiety or evil.
Do they? I mean, I am totally 100% with you that yes, I believe we all know. And yet I am noticing this big confusion that, people who also seem to have it all figured out, who might be teaching others how to do it. If you then look deeper, they're not living it. So there's an incongruency between, often, unfortunately, I think that's this jarring reality that we're noticing right now, is there's often a huge difference between what someone is saying and what they're doing. So this integrity, the quality and the value of honesty, transparency, integrity, authenticity, that's this year. That's what this year is about. And that's why I think it's so fascinating to be, also, I have Golden Goddess circles, right? So I gather with thousands of women virtually every week. And we have astrologists in our circles, and they're all saying the same thing. They're all saying now is karmic time. It's karmic reckoning time. We can't run away anymore. And I love how you said it for yourself when we were talking before and about your book, right? When you knew I can't run away from this anymore, this calling that I have, this need, the urge that I feel to do something, to not only talk about it, but actually, create something was so strong that it had you sit down and channel those books. And I'm sure that many of us are feeling that urge and calling, but sometimes we just don't know how. But I want to remind us that the question is, how am I going to do that? Is just your conscious mind trying to figure something out. And if we look at the brain, we know that the conscious mind is so small in comparison to the unconscious mind. So once we have that bravery to go into the unconscious mind and look at this archive of stuff and information that we have and really consciously go through it and say, what if this serves me and what is actually a program that's running me that's no longer good for me? Then we can create transformation that is epic, because change happens in an instant. But we can be thinking, and nothing will happen. But once we connect those brains in us, and now I'm talking about the head brain and the heart brain, which is so much more powerful, and the gut brain, once we become coherent and aligned and we're true to ourselves, then the universe serves us. Really, it supports us. And then these crazy coincidences happen that, like me, you find this place here. And just to be clear, I know this is not the end station. I know that this is still all unfolding. And my job is to not attach, to not hold, but to trust that it's all unfolding perfectly. And I think that's what we all need right now, collectively. We need to find that trust that, yes, even if the world in many places is like a shit show right now, it's a benevolent universe, right? It means well. And if we can find peace inside, we will also find it outside.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Do you have some kind of advice where people can find that kind of trust in themselves? Because I also see a lot of people who say it's wobbly, and even when I think I find peace in myself, then the next day it's all going to look
Of course.
at yeah.
We're going to be tested. Of course. The moment we find peace inside, something will show up to say, okay, how peaceful can you now be? Because we're constantly expanding, we're constantly growing, we're constantly unfolding. And I think that's the thing we have to accept. Change is the only constant. And once we become comfortable with change, once we realize that change doesn't need to be scary, because it's only scary for the unconscious mind. It's only scary because it's change. But change happens so something good can happen. And then we can learn to be in that flow. And where to connect to? Yes, I love the question. Connect here first. I can't tell you, I've been in the field of personal transformation for over 20 years now. And I can't tell you how many people I have witnessed losing it, losing their connection to self, because they ventured out into the quantum field, and then they hear voices and spirit has told me to do this. And I'm like, what kind of spirit? Are you sure you're connecting to that entity, to that energy, to that information that serves your highest good? So we have to first connect to our hearts. I say that's number one. You've got to get out of your head and into your heart to prevent yourself from creating from the ego, creating from actually lack and need, and not from a state of abundance. So we have to connect to our hearts first and know our heart, know our heart's desires, not push them away, acknowledge them and say, yeah, I have big badass dreams. Yeah, I desire for so much, and honor those desires, because those desires choose you. They're not going to go away. And then once we've connected the heart and we've found peace with who we are, and that's, where shadow work comes in, resolving past shit and really, really becoming present with the now. Once I've done that, all I need to do is connect to my own highest self, that highest wisdom, that consciousness that is always guiding me, that's always part of me. It's like that non-physical part of us that's always watching over us and saying, oh, interesting, look at what she's doing now, and trying to nudge us gently into directions using our intuition. But you see, if we don't take the time to find stillness, the time to connect with my own highest good, it's easy to get, pulled in all directions and to get confused. Because if you just look at how many voices we can have in our head, we can have the voices of childhood in our head, from our ancestors, from stuff that's happened. Then we'll have the voice of the heart, sure. And then we'll have the voice of fear, the ego. That's all inside. And we've got to learn to discern. And I think that's the training that each and one of us needs to do every day. And it's so simple. It starts with finding silence and making time for 10 minutes of conscious silence every day. I say that's the starting point. If people come in, I mean, like they do, when people come into my coaching sessions, and I have a strategy call first to determine, are you the right person to work with? Because my ads are expensive, and I want to make sure that this is an investment that is right for that person in that moment. The first thing I'll say is, one of the things you have to do until we meet is, I want you to take 10 minutes of silence. And if you're not willing to do that, why connect with your highest self? You'll most likely have a hard time even doing that. My main work in the sessions is actually using everything I learned from hypnosis. It's just getting people to relax, get out of the head, stop the chatter, and find that void, that stillness, and then we can connect. So it's fascinating to connect children, for instance. Young children takes this, that they're there. They'll flop out of it again because the focus isn't not there yet, but the connection is there.
Yeah.
But we have it trained out of us. And then by the time we finish school and we've heard, I don't know, how is it, 180,000 times who we are and who we are not. But the good news is we can reprogram ourselves. So when I work with people one-on-one, we do our transformational work. We elicit the sabotage and say, okay, where is this coming from? Then we connect to the highest self, and that becomes a personal hypnosis audio. That's a powerful thing, because you see, my clients then take that hypnosis and they sleep with it, and they take it and connect and connect and connect and have that practice until it becomes automatic. And you only need that one breath, and you go, okay, I'm back. I'm here. Now, you want to ask me, right? So that's what I do, and why I love my work so much, because I love helping others help themselves. I'm not looking for a group of, I don't know, not what is it? Not cheerleaders, but followers and sheep and, I don't know, advocates who are like, oh, Joy, whatever you say. No, I want you to know what's right for you. Because if you know what's right for you and I know what's right for me, together we can figure out what's right for both of us.
Yeah. Truly. And do you believe that now you're working totally from the inside out with people, and formerly you have a beauty institute? Do you think you can influence your looks from the inside out?
Oh, 1000% yes. I mean, 1000%. It's the most beautiful, radiant beings that I know are not always technically beautiful if you were to measure their face and their proportion. But their energy, their aura, their presence is so powerful that you're like, wow. And that's where, I'm the daughter of a physicist. My dad taught me all these ways to ask good questions. He always said, ask why, always ask why, and do your research. So I'm a researcher inside, and it's all about energy. Everything is energy. Everything has a frequency, and the highest frequency wins. So that's why I always urge people to say, listen, invest in yourself, invest in your own energy levels. Make sure that you're happy, that you're healthy, and everything else will unfold because your vibration changes. If I'm stressed out, I haven't slept, I'm kind of depressed, I feel frustrated, my energy level is down here. I'm going to attract exactly what resonates with that. And my only job is to see how can I get out of that state? How can I feel better? And that's where we can trust our feelings. Do things that have you feeling good. And to circle back to how you said at the beginning, do we really know? Yes, we do know. We know by that feeling. We know when we're with someone who has us feeling good, has us feeling safe, where our whole nervous system relaxes, and that flow of energy with that person and us just goes back and forth, back and forth. It's an effortless give and take. We know how that feels.
Yeah.
And we know how it feels when we're with someone who's saying, or has a different agenda, who's manipulating. It has us feeling usually a little anxious, withdrawn. We won't open up that much. There's no real intimacy. Because you see, in a patriarchy, which is crumbling now, but we have lived in a patriarchy. It's just a system. It's not got not that much to do with men. It's a system.
Yeah.
Been living in a system that follows patriarchy. A patriarchy has a hierarchy. And that means, and that's what we've seen with a lot of amazing spiritual teachers too, that means that there's a top dog who has underdogs. And the only way you know that you're a top dog is that you can kick someone underneath you.
Yeah.
And the one thing that is impossible in a hierarchy is intimacy. You can't be vulnerable. You can't open your heart and share because you've got to worry that you're not the fastest, the smartest, the most successful, because that's the programming of a patriarchy that women and men have. And that's why it's so exciting to live in these times where we're seeing these old systems crumble and new ones come up that I call more aligned with the crystalline consciousness. That's the energy and consciousness that I've been channeling for now nearly 20 years. And it's not religious. It's not about it's in a way about Jesus, but more about what he was teaching. And that's compassion and connection and collaboration and, this togetherness rather than competing and judging and coming from lack.
Yeah. Yeah, nice what you tell me about the crumbling structures. What do you think is the reason that so many people avoid intimacy still? Because the consciousness is evolving and we do want to connect on a higher level with each other. But
Because
I
the
also,
trauma tribe.
I'm single now for almost 5 years. And I see a lot of men who really avoid intimacy.
I see men and women avoid intimacy. And
Mhm.
if you ask me straight out, why? Because we're
Mhm.
traumatized. Most people are just traumatized. They've just had some kind of a few bad experiences with being vulnerable, opening up, and then poof, something happened. And that's one of the hardest things to get over. Heartbreak, it's a real thing. When your heart breaks, it really feels as if your life is ending. And then we have two options. We can harden up. We can, create walls around us and make it very safe for us, aka not connect anymore. Not really. Or we can really heal, but it takes a ton of courage.
Yeah.
To go through a traumatic experience, like, I don't know, loss, betrayal, whatever it is, and not close your heart, to keep it open, to feel that pain and to trust that that pain, once it's felt, can move through, to do the inner work. And I get it that it's scary. I've been through those dark nights of the souls many times. And I know every time it feels horrible when it happens, but I know it's necessary to get up there again. And to get back to joy, for me, I have realized only if I am willing and able to feel the deep pain, to go into that dark night, am I able to also feel that immense joy. It goes together. And you will not die feeling sad. Mm. And you see, if we look at the frequencies of emotions, you can measure these things, right? It feels better to feel angry than it does to feel sad, and even worse, to feel shame. And then we go back to all the programming that we've received through thousands of years of guilt and shame through the churches, you're born a sinner and all that stuff. You believe in it or not is part of the programming. So we've literally got to pick ourselves up from the lowest levels of shame, move up into the depression, the sadness, the anger, until we get to acceptance. And we say, yeah, this is the world. It's yin and yang. There's light and dark. And we find that balance. And once we found acceptance, we can move up into gratitude and actually see the good in little things and feel appreciation for each other and ourselves. So you see that intimacy that we often seek with others, we first get to find with me. I've been willing to really look in the mirror, and I've done this. I often sit in front of a mirror. That's the quickest way to illumination. Sit in front of a mirror for 1 hour. Just look in your own eyes. You'll have all kinds of emotions coming up.
Yeah, especially when you do that for an hour.
Yeah.
I advise my clients to do it for 10 minutes, and that is really uncomfortable. So an hour, oh my gosh.
But isn't it funny? It's just you and you, me and me. I mean, what's scary about that? But they were just showing studies talking about this mirror gazing, actually gazing into a white wall. We're now seeing this. It's interesting because it's happening to our brains, right? The shifts. Our brains currently globally are very fried, I'd call them, right? There's a lack of focus. People are like all over the place. Then these devices are also not very helpful, right?
No.
Because they're super distracting. So a lot of people are literally addicted to their devices. They feel anxiety if the phone is not within reach, right?
Yeah.
The quickest way to heal that popcorn brain, it's called, the brain that's all over the place, constantly, one idea after the other, right, is to sit in front of a white wall for 1 hour. And they're doing workshops like that. They're doing workshops to help people heal their popcorn brain. They get a group of people, sit in front of the white walls, absolute silence, and stuff happens. So, and that literally costs nothing. So anybody who's watching right now or listening, sit in front of your walls, set your timer, and be brave.
That's a great advice. I really should try it because I also recognize the popcorn brain. Yeah.
It takes control and discipline, and that's the uplifting message I want to give everyone here. Even if you're recognizing you have the mega depressed popcorn brain, you can do something about it. And it's not that hard. So I wrote a book called How to Use Your Intuition to Change Your Life. And there I show the 5 steps that you need to take to be able to connect to your highest intelligence. And part of that is 10 minutes of silence. It's getting out into nature, putting your phone away, do some breath work. These are all things that cost nothing. And heal. I mean, breath work is the most powerful thing any of us can do.
Yeah.
Because breath is our most powerful healer, and our mind is our most powerful healer. And just imagine what happens if you get your mind and your breath in check. That's yoga. So, it's a lot new. I think it's just making it more practical and encouraging people to go out and do something about it. Make that commitment to self. Invest in yourself, and I promise you will get that return on investment way more than investing into, next pair of shoes, vacation, or even beauty treatment. Start inside.
Yeah. Thank you. What will you be doing at the festival in 2 weeks? Because you already mentioned it. Fabian Emmen will host a festival the 20th and 21st of July. In Ankeveen, and you will be one of the facilitators. I will be too. But when people come to the festival, what can they expect from you?
Well, for me, you can expect that we will be doing 2 workshops. I'm hosting 2 workshops, all based around the highest self and the crystalline consciousness. I've never spoken about the crystalline consciousness that much because I wasn't so comfortable being associated as a channeler. I didn't want that to be the main message for many reasons, but that is the entity that I have devoted my mission to bring that consciousness back. So we'll be talking about that, explaining how that can impact our lives, how we can create more peace in our own lives. And the main thing is we'll do a group hypnosis, which is very powerful to have a bunch of people all going into that connected state at the same time to connect to each one of our highest selves. So all these highest selves that each one of us has, right, are interconnected with each other. And fascinating things happen in those sessions because we'll often get messages, different people will get messages that absolutely align and are about the same thing, because these highest selves also are collective. And when we start connecting to our highest selves and connect all the highest selves, I've seen incredible healings happen. I mean, literally people, getting up and walking without crutches for the first time. So anything can happen. And it's going to be good. And I'm also offering private sessions because, of course, doing it one-on-one, getting your own personal hypnosis, I can totally focus on you, get your highest self to answer your questions that you have in life. So it's like you're channeling your own highest intelligence. It's one of the most powerful things I think we can do. And one session is what it usually takes to just unlock that. Once it's unlocked, you can head out on your own. You've got it. You've just got to practice connecting. And that you can then do because you get the audio that we record live in the session when we work with you.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit more about that crystalline consciousness? Because I can imagine when people are watching this or listening to this, they think, oh, is it about the whole Jesus revival then? Because the name Christ is in it.
But it's funny that you say how it happened for me was I was at this training with Dolores Cannon in Stockholm. And I took the training for quantum hypnosis, and in one of the sessions, I practiced, right? And with this quantum hypnosis, the classic way is you first go into a past life. So you go into a past life and get information there that is helpful for this life. That is already very healing. And then from there, you go into connection with the highest self. So I had this session and I first went into an Egyptian past life. It was pretty fun. I saw pyramids and myself chanting around. It was pretty cool. And then when my highest self came through, this word came through and said, I'm Christallin. And we were like, well, what is Christallin? And I was like, Christ all in. And I was like, what does that mean? And it was like, that Christ consciousness is in all of us, right? And it's about reawakening that consciousness for the concept of a world that is ruled by love and not by fear. And part of that are these values like compassion and clarity and collaboration and community. So this community part is what I feel is coming up strongest currently, is to encourage each one of us to create our own communities of connection. We're no longer these single balls flying around or following our big goals in life. And I've got to have this and I've got to have that. No, it's about connecting with all of us so we can together do this. And to step out of the paradigm of this having to be hard work and hustling and competing against each other. And I know who has more followers, who cares? I know that in a quantum multiverse that we live in, it's not the size that matters. It's the impact that matters. It's the clarity of intention. It's the frequency. It's what frequency we're sending out. So say Christallin, it's just a frequency. It's a frequency that is peaceful, that is collaborative, that is compassionate, that is a lot about forgiving. It's a lot about coming from here and not from here. So I think it's something you have to experience. And what I've usually noticed is that in these workshops, no matter how many people are there, it either resonates or it doesn't. I've never had anybody say, no, I cannot do anything with this, because they might not feel inclined to connect to Christallin again, but they felt something. And that feeling something often had them open their heart a little more and let go of some grudge of the past. I mean, it's so individual what each one of us needs. And that's what I like in this, because once we connect to the right frequency, the frequency does its work. We don't need to fix anything. We don't need to tweak or do.
And also the frequency raises when you are with a bunch of people who are like-minded, because I also think it's easier to connect to that consciousness in a group,
Oh,
because
yes.
when someone raises their vibration, the other ones will follow.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to your workshop. I don't know exactly if I will be able to attend, because I don't know if the program will overlap. But
We've got 2 chances, so I should think one of them will work.
yeah, probably. I really am looking forward to it, and thank you so much for recording this podcast with me. When people want to participate in the festival, when they want to attend, I will
We'll put the link in the comments, right?
yeah, I put a link in the comments, in the show notes. And when they do want a private session with you, can they also
Also
book it
book
in
them there.
advance?
Yes. That's
Okay.
all. Fabian has put that all on the page. You can book it all directly from the sign up page. And yeah, and I look forward to drinking cacao and dancing with you and just, being in 3D. I think it's so special that, we get together and we can actually hug each other.
Yeah, really, really. One last question, because I remember something. What made you come from Austria to here? That was a kind of special story, I thought.
It is. So Fabian asked me to support his charity, and I asked him to
Mhm.
come into my Golden Goddess Circle so that he could tell all the women about this. And we raised some money for his charity. And in one of the conversations when we were talking about this little thing we had, I said, I think what you should do at your place, you should have a festival. You should have a festival, and you should invite all these teachers in to all do their thing, and people can just come and taste a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, but get together in 3D. I said, you've got such a beautiful property there. Why not do something like that? And then I forgot completely about it. My life's busy, and Fabian's is
Mhm.
too. And I will say something that might sound a little, judgmental now. I'm coming from my best heart. And then what happened was, I think it was 2 weeks ago, if at all, Fabian sends me this text saying, yeah, can we talk about the festival and whatever? And I was like, what festival? Because you see, he never told me anything about that he'd actually done it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I've got a retreat next week, and it's summer vacations. No, I'm not feeling it. And then there was silence. And I said, and I'm really sorry if I'm disappointing you here. And he said, yeah, Joy, I've been marketing this for 6 weeks now. I've got the whole page up. I've announced it. People are waiting for you. And I was like, okay, I'm coming. Obviously, I'm coming. So it's one of those leaps of faith. It was not planned on my side. And yeah, what I was going to say, which sounded might be a little bitchy, is it's typically male. They sometimes think something, do
Yeah.
something, but they forget the little piece of communicating it.
Yeah.
So I would say, if I've been for future, it's really helpful if you tell the people actually for me, right? But now we have 2 weeks to go, and we're drumming up all the support and loving it that everyone who's involved in the festival is now getting their act together and putting it out there and bringing people in so that we have an epic festival together.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And what a great story. And also about what you say about men, because I really recognize it. You will meet at the festival Ben. He will be hosting a sweat lodge. And I'm working together with Ben. We are just great friends. But how many times there are awkward communications between us, because he told me, I already told you. No, you didn't. You didn't. You totally not communicate this with me. So it is a male thing. They think they have it all figured out together, but somewhere.
Bringing it into 3D, and that's what we're doing at the festival, right? We're bringing
Yeah.
all these great ideas into 3D and putting it into action. We're actually moving our butts, like me, from Austria to Ankeveen, or everyone else from wherever you are, and that action is rewarded. Really, I do want to let you know that the moment we take an action step and we just expect it to be great and a good idea and that only good things happen to us, that's where miracles happen. But we've got to get out there. We've got to do it.
Yeah. So everyone should attend, because when they do want to experience miracles, they have to be there the 20th and the 21st of July.
Absolutely. So if you're
Yeah.
still sitting on the fence, this is your wake-up call. So come on, take an action, do a click and join us. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Joy, for your time and your enthusiasm. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person in 2 weeks.
Same here. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, look forward to giving you a hug real soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye, my love.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And if you want to give me or Joy a thumbs up, if you have any questions for us, do drop in our DMs in Instagram. And if you want to book a ticket for the Full Moon Quantum Festival, just go to the show notes above and book your spot, because you don't want to miss this. I hope to hear or see you soon in another podcast.